All right, so episode 7. Welcome to episode 7 of the Xevi Had a Problem podcast. Shout out to my sister / producer.
Hey, y'all.
Manda. I guess she's coming in with the energy today. That's energy for Manda, it seems. And yeah, man, we on episode 7, man. Woo! Hey, come on. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to you guys for getting us to episode 7. And we're on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. YouTube has a video version of the podcast. Spotify has a video version as well. We're everywhere they show. Why don't I just say we're on YouTube, Spotify? They both have video versions. Why do I keep breaking apart the video version thing? You know what I'm saying?
Is it because you're stupid?
Maybe. Because I'd be like, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube has a video version. Spotify has a video version. Boy, what? Anyway, Spotify, YouTube have video versions. Apple Music, everywhere they show podcasts have versions. Now, this one is going to be a little bit different. This podcast itself is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be discussing life in general and the concept of following your dreams. And when someone says follow your dreams, it's easier said than done, right? What most people seem to go through is they ask the question, all right, how much money does my dream make? Because bills do exist, or your parents tell you, nah, you can't do that. You know, how much money you gonna make with that? And to be fair, parents are human. They probably heard the same thing. Yo, nah, you got to do this, mom and dad. You got to have a kid at this age. You got to do this. And so they just pass it on what they think is going to be best for you. So then people push their passions aside, go for a job, make some money, or they realize later on down the line that their job isn't their passion, so they want to do something else. You know, the age-old story. Now, if this sounds like you, no worries. I'm selling the course for $99, and you can learn to follow your dreams today. And just kidding.
Don't hit me up, bro. Like, I hate... Bro, I have an issue with people who be selling those grifter courses.
But I feel like those courses are getting a little more obsolete nowadays, though, man. Don't you think? Like they're, no. I think people. You don't think
they're so strong as ever, quite literally.
Are you serious?
But it's with anything. It's like courses on how to manifest your dream life. Courses on like how to become a billionaire, a young millionaire. Like it's like,
get on that YouTube, y'all. Get on that YouTube. Don't give these course folks no money. Get on that YouTube and you good. Get on that YouTube and you good. Anyway. Girl, what we talking about? No,
I don't know how we got here, but basically, people will tell you how to get rich. You're making them rich, and that's how they got rich.
All right, let me give you Xevi's course. I have great news for you. I'm about to change your life. I don't have the answers, and that's the best news you can get because no one has answers, bro. I'm telling you right now. We're all just what did I say? Last podcast, we all just floating on a rock in space. You know what I'm saying? Like.
Literally.
And that's the best news you can get. I really actually do think that is the best news you can get because you realize that you can stumble and figure things out. And then when you're that first person that's able to do something, they're going to be like, oh man, this person's innovative and all that. And then you can sell your course. But anyway, let's get into the meat of the podcast. Basically, you know, Manda was telling me the other day that there's a whole, you know what, let me not even butcher what you was telling me. Why don't you tell the folks what you was telling me about, like, you know, the whole argument against.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess this discourse happens like every 3 months, but there was recently a discourse online about a girl on TikTok. She had dropped out of medical school to become an influencer. Yeah. And she got jumped basically.
She got jumped? That's what
because like people were saying she's stupid for doing that. And it opened a wider discussion on like whether people should continue with their college careers or pursue a career in social media, if that's even a career, because who knows how long it's gonna last, things like that. And I thought it was interesting because I was like, well, you have this is what you do for a living.
You as in me?
Yes.
Okay.
This is what Xevi does for a living. Yeah. But you weren't in the same boat as her because you didn't specifically drop out of med school to become a social media person. Yeah. But you did drop out to pursue something that was unorthodox. So I guess I was curious. And then I'm like, I guess the opposite. Like I went to college and got the traditional job that's supposed to get with my degree. So I guess I thought it would be kind of interesting on whether people think this is like a real job, a real career, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, you know, I feel like that's really interesting too. I feel like it gets to like the broader realm of if you should follow your dreams or not in life. I think we're just getting to an age or to a point where people are realizing you can just do whatever you want. But I guess it's a lot slower than I thought. I thought everybody was on that. I thought everybody was on that kind of do what you want type thing. I thought everybody realized nowadays that doctor, lawyer isn't the end all be all,
No, there was definitely like a hard argument for, and maybe to be fair, it could have just been the my For You page, but a lot of the arguments were really that you're wasting, or you're throwing away a sure thing to become something that can be over within a matter of months, basically.
Oh wow. Well, you know what I always think, bro? I always say, like, with that, like, how do you know it's going to be over in a few months? And I'm not trying to get all soapboxy and all motivational speaker, but I always think about that age old like saying, which is 1 in a million. Like who's to say you're going to be that 1 in a million type thing? They're saying it could be over in a month. Like, why don't you go for a sure thing? But man, what's crazy? That 1 in a million thing never made sense to me.
You have always said that.
I've always said that to you, haven't I? Even growing up, like it didn't make sense to me because there's so many questions you gotta ask. For example, they specifically say that for sports, like especially, if a kid says, I'm trying to join the NBA, I'm trying to get in the NBA. They say, boy, you know how many people get drafted to the NBA? Like, who's going to say you're that 1 in that million that and I'm like, all right, what if the dude was 7'4"? Like, what if he's 7'4"? Just like off top, what if he's 7'4"? Then they can't say 1 in a million. They got to go, with the stats of it. They got to say, okay, well, but I mean, you're taller, so you probably have a better chance. So you're 1 in 100,000. You know what I'm saying? Or what if that kid studies the hell out of the game? And he turns out to be a young Steve Nash, because that's what Steve Nash did. They told Steve Nash, they said, boy, you a little white kid, boy, you're not going to get in the NBA. So he just studied harder than everyone else, knew what everyone's going to do before they did it. And that's how he was able to score his points. What if you thin like Steph Curry, but then you shoot the hell out of the 3-pointer? You know what I'm saying? So that 1 in a million starts getting destroyed. And people are going to tell you quickly, oh, no, you're not Steph Curry, or like, you're not. And I feel like, man, I'm getting too passionate here, but look, because when I was growing up, I remember distinctly saying to my coach, I want to block shots like Dwight Howard. And my coach said, you think you Dwight Howard? I was like, no, that's not what I said. I said, coach, he said, everybody, Xevi said he think he's Dwight Howard. Everybody said, Xevi, you're not Dwight Howard. I'm like, no. I said, I want to block shots like Dwight Howard. You feel what I'm saying? So like, if you tell people that argument, like, yeah, Steph Curry was able to make it. You think you're Steph Curry?
Not the trauma dump.
No, it's not. It goes with the point. Hear me out. Like Steve Nash, like that point with Steve Nash. After I told this story, you can go over to your dad right now, your mom right now, and tell him, look, Xevi just told me that Steve Nash made it. I have the same stats as Steve Nash. All I got to do is they're probably going to be like, you think you Steve Nash? No. I'm just saying, I can study like Steve Nash. You feel what I'm saying? Like the very next thing people are probably going to say is, well, no, but you not them,
I think because, I mean, it's funny because we've had, I guess, this discussion a lot because I'm that person usually where I'm like, okay, but like the statistics show, and you're just like, but what if I am the statistic?
What if that?
Then what?
What if that? There's like so many questions. I feel like it can go. I mean, what all those people have in common, Steve Nash, Steph Curry, and all that have in common is that they busted their asses. They worked really hard. Even if like you're 7'4", with that first example, Wembanyama 7'4", there's a lot of people with 7'4" that did not make the league. Man, what you tell me about that ceiling inspector or something like that? You said that boy was like 7 foot. Man, tell him what happened. You seen a 7-footer do what?
So when I was in college, I had a part-time job at a hair salon, and there was a fire inspector who came in to check the sprinklers, but he had to have been at least 7'5", like
7'5". He wasn't 7'5". Y'all.
Listen, he was a foot taller than you, that's for sure. And you're 6'5".
Dang.
He was at least a foot taller than you. So when he walked in, like all we can do is look up.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know what to say. I was so shocked. And I'm so used to being around tall people. I'm like the shortest in my family and I'm 6 foot. And so he's trying to reach for the sprinkler in the ceiling. And he looks at us and he goes, do you guys have a step stool?
Yeah, better stop.
And one of my coworkers went,
nah,
and it was so sad. I felt so bad, but it just seemed almost like insane.
Bro, people who are taller than I feel like 6'6" or something like that, society just be...
I felt so bad because like what?
Damn, he can't get a step stool.
Yeah, I guess
bro, he can't get a step stool.
You don't normally see like people that tall out in the wild like that. It's like, oh, our expectation is immediately the only time we see you is either in the NBA or on the runway somewhere. Yeah. If you don't fit either of those two categories, what are you doing? What's going on? A fire inspector,
Right. So even though let me be more specific. So even if you 7'4", even if you that don't guarantee you a spot in the NBA. You know, you gotta bust your ass for everything. You gotta work. Huh?
That was the point.
That was the point. Yeah. You gotta. I feel like what all these people have in common is they work for their dreams. But let's go back to the girl from social media that you was talking about. She went from doctor to... She
dropped... she was like a medical school influencer. Now, there's a couple of
these, she was a medical school influencer?
Yeah, there's a couple of these instances. So maybe you might be thinking of a different person than I am, like viewer watching. But the specific person that I'm talking about, she was a TikToker who like vlogged her journey of medical school.
Oh.
But I guess she was like making racks.
She's like, oh, dang. She probably did the calculations.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, man, pull up how much doctors make on average nowadays, and then pull up how much influencers make on average nowadays. I'm actually genuinely curious. Now, this isn't to say, you know, money is everything. Because if she really, 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 truly wanted to be a doctor, then hopefully she would have just went for that med school thing. Influencer be damned. Influencer cash be damned. But she probably enjoyed what she did and said, if I make cash doing something I like, let me just get on and do something I like.
So it does depend on like the area of the country. Yeah. But assuming that she lives in Los Angeles, the average doctor makes $350,000 per year, roughly.
Still? Dang, this inflation be hitting everybody. I'm telling you, bro. I've been hearing that for like 20 years, goddamn. 350K average, goddamn. Nah, y'all got to raise them. Nah, stop playing, bro.
But the average social media influencer makes roughly $58,000 per year. So it's actually a very small percentage of people in social media who make the big bucks. Mm-hmm. And I guess she was one of them.
And well, there you go. I feel like that goes with everything that we're saying. Because if right now you stopped the video and said, got it, there it is right there. You gotta be a doctor. Those numbers are higher than the social media. Well, we're talking about average, right? Just real quick. For the folks that might have got lost there, we're talking about average. So there's a massive range of folks doing social media. There's a lot of people that make $0. There's people that make millions. So with that massive range, the number that you get is 58,000. Doctors, there's less of a range. You know what I'm saying? There's less of a range. So 350K is what they're saying is on average. But there's some doctors that make millions, of course. Well, that's the thing. I mean, look, man, I think average numbers are useless. I think you got to go way deeper. Like, man, it just said right there, it depends on where you're from. And most people don't ask that secondary question, too. You said average in Los Angeles, right? Mm-hmm. So most people would just say before that. Most people just say the average doctor makes... Well, less than Los Angeles. Let's say 200,000, and they say, okay, that's what an average doctor makes. So I'm gonna, well, hold on. Where do you live? Okay, I live in California. All right, you're gonna be making 350,000. Oh, wow, that's great. What kind of doctor you want to be? Oh, dang. Now we're asking these questions. Y'all feel what I'm saying? So y'all can't just be stuck on average. So social media influencer, what type of social media influencer you want to be? Oh, okay, cool. I want to make videos about Pokemon, specifically about the Pokemon Eevee. All right. How much you think you're finna be making? $1 million a month? Well, probably not. Because how many people want to see this specific? You feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Or I want to be a streamer like Kai Cenat. And I got all the stats. I'm hilarious. I'm this, that, and the third. Then you might be making millions, you know? So there's so much of a broad range within these things. You got to ask yourself these questions. That being said.
Can I ask you a question? You can answer it.
Okay.
So basically the question is, Xevi, do you think the average person should pursue social media versus pursuing these traditional careers that the society places pretty highly as like a safe career option?
Well, I think people should like just take the safe word out of it and pursue what they want. I know it sounds corny and just say pursue what you want, but I really think that matters so much, because if you're going to pursue social media just because you saw Xevi do it or you saw your favorite creator do it, then it might not be for you. You know what I'm saying? So you might not bust your ass. You might not work like you want it in a sense. You might say, okay, again, Kai Cenat. What's another social media person? I keep saying Kai Cenat. Who's one more person? Off the top.
Mr. Beast?
Yeah, there you go. That's a great one. Yeah, you might say Mr. Beast be making millions, so let me be a social media creator and then I'm finna be the next Mr. Beast. Well, Mr. Beast loved social media. And that's all he wants to do. So he's doing it and he's going to make millions as a byproduct. If you're a person that loves social media, then you should absolutely do it, because it's not going to feel so much like work to you. Everything's a job, right? If you want to be a lawyer because you love law and all that, then jump into it because you're going to be the best lawyer you can be. Because who's to say these traditional jobs, nothing is promised. Boy, you could say, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor, go in and drop and fail, goddamn.
But isn't it like statistically like you're probably not going to get laid off of, let's say, being a lawyer? What am I trying to say? But isn't it
like more of a guaranteed job, you're saying?
Yeah,
No.
One more time.
We can do that every podcast. We could do.
All right, one more time, guys. Hold on.
Take your time.
Don't you?
Big word.
Would you agree?
That's a big word
or not? All right. Anyway.
Go ahead, please.
Do you feel like it is statistically safer to be a lawyer though and make, so let's say, $200,000 a year versus gambling on being a social media influencer when the chances of hitting that like top 10% of salary is pretty low?
I get the way I see it is they're both a gamble in life.
Like, you feel like they're the same?
Yeah, I feel like you have to go to the point before you've already said you've made it as a lawyer. You know, people are saying like you should be a lawyer because the chances of you losing your job is like, but like, what if you don't become a lawyer? You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of steps to becoming a lawyer in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if you fail all your classes because you hate law?
I guess this is assuming that a person is going to do well and become said lawyer.
Well, fine. If we want to assume that the person did well and became a lawyer, then I want to assume in this argument that the person did well and became a social media influencer that's making a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like, we got to get to those steps, because people are saying like these jobs, like they're guaranteed. Like, I'm gonna become a doctor. Boy, it's a tough road to become a doctor. And there's many spots where you can get flushed out. They don't tell you that part, but there are plenty of spots where you can get flushed out. Let's get more specific. I want to be a cardiologist. Boy, when you get to med school, you'll learn once you get there, when you have grades that aren't cardiology grades, they will quite literally call you in and tell you, you're not going to be a cardiologist. You need to do this. You don't have the grades to pursue cardiology. Trust us. Just do this. Then what? There go your dreams in a sense, right? Now what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so then what about the longevity of it then? Like, do you feel like social media is a career that, or is it a career?
Yeah.
And can like people do this for as long as they could like be a doctor or whatever traditional job?
Yeah, why not? I feel like everyone's going to always want to be entertained. Whatever medium it is, it's what it is, I feel like if YouTube exploded tomorrow, YouTube just stopped existing, then people would go to TikTok. If TikTok just stopped existing, somebody would make something new. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like there'll always be like some variation of like social media. But again, I still feel like nothing is promised as well. Like, jobs can get phased out, or jobs can get quote unquote full. Software engineer, man, is a software engineer. And,
it's rough right now.
It's rough right now to get a job.
It was, at least when I started doing it, I've been an engineer or coding, I guess, for like 8 years, I think. And by the time I graduated, it was still a position that not many people knew about. And it was very sought after and very high paying. So it was almost like a guaranteed job. And so everybody started, getting that computer science degree thinking, okay, this is a guaranteed job I can easily get and I'm going to be secure forever. But now there's an influx of people who either have degrees or went to boot camp or self-taught, whichever. And companies see them as expendable, and the pay is not as high as it used to be for people who are coming into engineering. Still, like, if you're able to get a position, great career path, you can always find a job somewhere eventually, but it's not as easy as it used to be. So it's definitely not as guaranteed. So I guess I see what you mean by that. Like, it just ebbs and flows, I guess.
Yeah, ebbs and flows of life. I think, whatever you want to do is probably best. If nothing is promised, you might as well do what you want. If you, again, want to be a social media influencer, then you got to do your best to, let's say, become one. Because I think in some people's minds that, boy, I'll tell you what, again, I was going through that whole med school route and all that. And I'll tell you right now, hot take, to me, this was tougher than studying to get into med school and all that.
But to be fair, you were really good at it. Xevi got like straight A's. He was teaching MCAT classes, like, so I feel like that's hard to say.
Yeah, but I feel like it just depends on what's hard to you. I feel like, with that, I knew the path. I knew what I needed to do to get this and that. Doing the social media stuff was just a whole new world to me because there was no set path quite. There was just an open landscape of figure it out. And that was a lot for me at first. And then when you step into it, you realize that you might be working 12-hour days. You technically do set your own hours, but to be competitive, you find those hours start stacking a lot. You say you want to be a streamer, like Pokemon and them, like Hasanabi. Don't that boy stream like 8 hours a day every day or something like that? Like,
I wouldn't know. But yes, you did say that like he's always on all the time.
He does stream a lot. Like XQC's a streamer as well. I think at one point he streamed every single day for like a few years or something like that. 8 hours each day or something like that. Things might not all be what they seem, let's say.
Well, okay. I guess my question then to follow up is, because I have seen a lot of discourse kind of recently. I don't know why my For You page is like this on TikTok, that social media is not a career. It's a job. Like,
not a career, it's a job.
Yeah, because they'll point to a lot of creators who used to be really big, but then like they cycle out. Like they were making millions at one point and now they're putting the fries in the bag or so and so, because it's not something that can be sustained for years and years, like a traditional career, like, I don't know, being whatever. Yeah. But you feel like that this could be a career, or this is a career and not a job.
Yeah, because then I have to go to those questions again. I have to go individual. I can't just hear, personally, I can't just hear these creators made millions and now they're not. I'm going to say, why? Why do each of these creators make millions and now they're not doing it anymore? Did they not flow with the times? Did they not? Ray William Johnson, for instance, he's been doing social media stuff since the way back, and he still got a career today. Did he flow with the times? Well, yes, he did. He changed I don't know what he did at first, but now I know he does story content, and he realized that's what he needs to flow to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. What's that guy people don't like? Shane Dawson was on top of the world. He's still making a bag from social media. Fun fact.
Not that crackpot.
Yeah, he's still making an absolute bag from social media. He flowed with the times. He changed his content. He did podcast content. He did vlogging content. And now I think he's currently doing story content as well. So he's flowing with the times. Did those other people try to force it down? Did those? Well, PewDiePie is a great one, right? Y'all can see his whole trajectory from day zero. He's had so many different phases. It's like musicians; they can have different phases as well. If we still rapping like we from the 2000s, your career is probably not gonna hold true. Kanye West had to change his 2000 flow to more of a electronic flow was stronger ish. You know what I'm saying? Like more production heavy and all that. Drake changes. You gotta go with the ebb and flows of the times.
I think Jackie I know is also a really good one. She's been doing this for a long time. I believe almost 10 years. She started off as a beauty YouTuber and like now it's branched off to having her own candle brand and things like that. So I guess maybe what you mean is that it's, or at least my thing is, I don't think being a TikToker is a career. I don't. I don't think being just a YouTuber is a career. I think being a social media like personality is a career if you're able to have your own brand be you and not just one platform, and be able to branch it off into different platforms, different things, even flipping into a business. I think that is how you can achieve longevity, at least from the examples I see where it's a success. It's because they didn't just stick to one thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times I see the TikToks who point to, oh, those people, they failed. It's because they had stuck to one thing and like one platform
instead of like fleshing out their brand. You know, what's crazy? Every single doctor, dentist I've seen and been to recently has brought up my social media. Like
that's funny.
Like, listen to this. They've quite literally asked me questions on how to start their own social media and all that. Basically, like, you know, get a bag with social media. Like, they realize the power of social media because, fun fact, being a doctor, being a lawyer, that's all business. You gotta up your brand as well. Look up a doctor right now. They get 2 stars on Yelp. You're not going to that doctor. So doctors that push their brand out make the most money, let's say. So each doctor and dentist I've been to have been saying, hey, you know, this what my dentist say. He might watch this. Shout out Dr. He said, can you be my social media coordinator? I said, boy, I'm
gonna pull these teeth out.
I said, that's a fact. I said, boy, I'm a little too busy for that. I'm not gonna lie to you. Do your own thing. He's like, yo, check out this video. I got 50K. I got 100K. I said, okay, cool. You doing your thing. He's like, so what should I do here? I said, my teeth, you know what I'm saying? I got down, I'm out wide open, Tyson. You know what I'm saying? Shout out my dog. We've been having great conversations, but
I think the counter argument to that though is because I've had the same thing happen, but for what I do, I've had a few people and a couple of friends who they're doing or pursuing jobs in the entertainment field, trying to be an actor or a model or an influencer, so and so. And have come to me and have asked me like, okay, how do I learn how to code? Or, you know, how can I get a position as a developer, so and so? Because they're just like, well, what I'm pursuing right now is not making any money. I have to pay these bills. Because I don't know when I'm going to be hitting that golden parachute, golden paycheck. But at least I'll be able to, you know, do what you do and have a steady paycheck while I pursue what I'm passionate about. So I feel like if for people to pursue social media, they need to be able to survive that grind until they hit that like prime time. And a lot of people don't have that luxury. So it's tough, you know.
You know, I mean, the thing is though, man, I think that like it gets a little deeper than that, like in the sense of depending on what you want to do. Like, just for instance, if somebody asked you how to start coding and then they felt like coding is their dream and they want to stop doing social media or stop being an actor and that's what they want to do, then that's just it. I feel like things are just less complicated than people make them out to be. Like, if again you want to do social media but you are not making money from it, then you need to figure out a way to make money. You feel what I'm saying? And then put social media, however much you can squeeze into your social media grind is however much you could squeeze into your social media grind. And it's that simple. Like, that doesn't mean one is better than the other or something is better than the other. But, you know, girl, I asked you the same question. Matter of fact, remember back in the day, I said, girl, how do I start coding? Type thing.
Right.
Yeah, I asked you that too. I had to Uber like 40 hours a freaking day, 50 hours a day. Like
40 hours a day. The last I checked, there's only 24 hours in a day. You must have been busting your ass. On a time loop a day? Dang.
On that Itachi.
Infinite Tsukiyomi?
Boy, I sound like, you know them memes they make of LeBron, a poor LeBron.
Oh, how you be lying?
They be saying like LeBron be lying, like fun fact. They be like putting like memes out of like, but I'm saying like, oh yeah, I read them 28 books. Like, no, it was like 50, 60 hours a week or something like that. I know folks work a lot more with Uber and stuff. Like my brother, for instance, works like hella hours. But regardless, I did that not to be the best Uber driver I could be, but it was to buy a computer to start streaming, you know. That doesn't mean streaming or becoming a social media influencer is a bad job, because you got to do something else to grind for that. You know what I'm saying?
I guess because I'm someone who really needs security, I would be too afraid to fail. Yeah, I'd be too afraid to fail. I'm too afraid of being the average person, the statistic, because I can always look at the people who didn't make it and be like, oh, that could be me. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I think I'm too much of a coward to have done what you did.
But you know what? It's not even like you. I feel like it's just society. Like, I feel like, you know, when I was working as a BII, this was like 2018, there was a career day, and the kids was all sitting down. The career person was asking everybody what they wanted to do. Everyone was saying doctor, lawyer, age old. And this one kid said YouTuber. And the career day instructor dude looks around at the audience like that boy was on a sitcom, like, oh. And everybody just starts laughing. I'm like, damn. They start laughing, but not like laughing at bro, like pointing like ha ha ha. But it's like, you know, parents and like
not taking it seriously.
Yeah, not taking it seriously, like this kid, you know. But like,
get a load of this guy.
Yeah, get a load of this guy type, you know, like we was in a SpongeBob episode type, you know.
What's a BII?
It's a behavior interventionist. It's like a one-on-one for kids that need, you know.
Right, yeah, I used to work with like special needs kids.
Yeah, exactly. Special needs. But yeah, they was laughing at bro. But it seems like they weren't just up on time. They weren't up on game, because if that kid pursued and went, hopefully that kid pursued YouTube and hopefully he's doing his thing. But or maybe everybody laughing at him made him say, you know what, I'll just be a doctor, lawyer. But yeah, but you know, 2018, there was a huge social media like boost in like 2020, right? So 2025 now, like people are realizing, oh, social media, like you can make stacks from it. Maybe 2018 was less so. Maybe nowadays, if you go into a class and say, I want to be a YouTuber, you probably get less laughs. It's like gaming and stuff like that. For all you old heads out there and all that, you probably heard, get off the game, do your homework, get off the game, do your homework. Now parents are probably realizing that gamers are making a bag. So they probably tell you, you know what, throw in a few hours in the game. You know what I'm saying? I feel like money dictates what is the quote unquote right thing to do in life, or what your dreams should be, let's say. My mindset is not just me, like having just, I don't know what it is, man. Like, I just can't sit here and say, do it and you're going to be great at it. I really believe that if you want to be the best YouTuber you could be, or the best NASCAR driver you could be, I feel like you can do it. You
do think people can do anything.
I really do think people could do anything. I really do. I think the only things that mainly stop people from doing what they want to do is societal pressures on people. Once you get past that, once you get to the point where you could just say everyone else is stupid, then you're going to make it in whatever you do, because everyone's just hearing what the other person's saying, or the next person's saying, what the parents are hearing, what your grandparents told them and all that, and not stupid in a disrespectful way. Shout out to your parents. But, just saying, Side story. Let me get sidetracked again because we always get sidetracked. Screw it.
Woo! Shout out to the sidetrack team.
Shout out to the sidetrack team. When I said shout out to your parents, it reminded me of a teacher I had. He used to always say respectfully after everything. That's why I'd be sliding in when I'd be saying respectfully sometimes, just like as a little joke, a little side joke to myself. There was a teacher I had in college. He would say the wildest things, and afterwards he would say respectfully. Like, it's fine. Like, there's this one time, I kid you not, he said, you know, because everybody was growing up doing their thing. Like, some of your grandmas might have been out there in the streets wilding. Respectfully.
Oh, none taken. Okay.
Excuse me? My gram? So your parents may be stupid, respectfully. But if you say that simple adage in your head, everybody else is dumb and I am right, I think you'll be good. Easier said than done, right?
I feel like, I don't know. I understand that, but I do think that some people fall into the trap of not being willing to learn and pivot and change course when they need to avoid failure and to get to success. And so I feel like, I don't know if I would say, oh, like anybody can just do this and just, as long as you think you're right, you're good. Because there's some people who are doing that, but they will still fail because they don't have an open mind.
Yeah, and that's fair. But I think, you know, you plug those people into anything and then things will be a little bit tougher.
That's
you know?
fair, yeah.
But, you know, then those people might learn. I mean, I was one of those people. Boy, it took me a long time to get the social media stuff going. I had to learn. And that's just a part of life. I had to fail for years to finally get the answers. And if you never get the answers, you never get the answers. That's just life, I guess. But if you try your best to get the answers every single day, I truly think that you'll be able to get it going.
That's fair. I guess in some ways, I feel like it's easier to do a traditional career in many ways. Not just the fact that you don't have to like worry about, where's my next paycheck coming from? But also the societal stigmas, like a lot of people, like I said, don't consider social media like a real job. It's like when people ask, what do you do? Like, what do you, like, I know you always say, oh, I make videos. And people are always like curious, like what you mean by that. But if you say, oh, I'm a doctor or I'm an engineer or I'm a nurse or a teacher, there's like an air of like, for lack of a better word, like respect to that.
Yeah.
And even like cultural pressures, like especially if you have immigrant parents.
Cultural pressures is massive.
Yeah, it's so much easier and almost expected to do these traditional careers versus daring to do something that is not something that they can brag about. So I guess it goes to your point of like people making those decisions based off of like what other people think versus what they really want to do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy to do. That's why I'm not saying I'm sitting up here like a motivational speaker and saying, just do it. No, man. I mean, you know, getting over that hump of societal pressure that's why I wanted to be a doctor. And I just had to find that out for myself. The moment they said, you have been accepted to medical school, there was no happiness in me at all. And I wasn't like sad or disappointed or anything. I was just existing. And I realized, this is not what I'm supposed to do. You know, this is what I thought I was supposed to do. It also goes with the cultural thing, right? Wanting to make my parents proud and all that. I wanted society to view me as somebody that's doing what they're doing.
To this day, our parents still ask when he's going back to medical school. I mean, I feel like they stopped now.
Yeah, they're a
like,
little
but recently
more cool with it.
They've recently stopped.
No, but you know, I think mom and dad never really cared as long as you're making a living. But they were just afraid for the longest time that I wasn't going to make a living because I was not making a living again for the longest time. You know, I get it. You know, if you didn't know, Manda and myself were Senegalese. So African parents stuff is either a lawyer, doctor, go home, like type. You know, you either a lawyer, doctor, or you not. It's donezo. You know,
engineer.
or engineer. Doctor, lawyer, engineer. Slide in the engineer. Even if you say, Mom, Dad, I want to go to the NBA. It don't matter if your whole family line was 7'8". They tell you, boy, shut up.
Pick up a book.
Get it.
Go do your math.
Book. Go do your math. Matter of fact, come here, shave your head bald. Because that's when you finna be smart. You know what I'm saying? Like, bald like a basketball. You want to play basketball? Let's make your head that basketball. Boy, stop playing. Another side note. Shout out my brother Pop. When I was growing up, man. Shout out my brother Pop. When I was growing up, I said, Pop, I'm trying to get me a lineup. He was cutting my hair. I was like, I'm trying to get me a lineup, like them dudes be having. He said, man, I got you. Come here. I said, you know how to do the lineup? He said, yeah. I'll never forget. That still runs in my mind. He said, yeah. Come here, sit down. Boy shaved my hair bald, straight bald. It was less than a 0. He shaved me down to a -2. That boy had me glowing. He said, yeah, there you go. I look in the mirror. I said, Pop, this ain't a lineup. He said, nah, that's what you got.
No, I actually saw your brain cells. Literally.
Boy, my head was getting slapped all over the place. My head was getting slapped.
Bro, he walked in the room, like, Xevi walked into the room, and everyone was just quiet.
Dead quiet. Not saying a word. Like, folk couldn't even lie. Like, folk couldn't even be like, oh, no, you look good. Like, nobody could even lie to my face. Everybody was quiet. My brother walking out like, you didn't do me wrong. Stop playing. But anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, African parents, societal pressures and all that. Yeah, man. But it's not only Africa, of course. It's many different cultures.
Immigrant kids. I'm sure all first generation kids can understand that.
Yeah, and even old school parents that aren't so much haven't immigrated to the United States. We're talking specifically. But I hate to break it to you, there's a time in everybody's life where they gotta disappoint their parents, and if it has to do with your life, your entire life, that's the way I saw it personally. If there's any advice I can give somebody to like thrash their parents, because you gotta understand, like, all my Africans or people who got pressure from their parents can feel me on this. Boy, if you go in that doctor route your whole life, and then you turn around to your parents and say, no,
paint the picture. You finally made it.
Yeah.
You went through we had like 7 med school interviews. Went through all of them.
Them folks was excited. They said, UCLA? Oh, them folks was excited, man. Them folks was hype. I went over to my parents, plain and simple. I said, and you know what? There was no pressure on me for that, honestly. I don't know why. Maybe I'm a little insane, but I walked over to them. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to medical school. They're like, oh, you just didn't get in? And I was like, no, I got in. They were dead shocked. They looked at me and they're like, so what are you going to do? I was like, probably start a business or something. I was lying. I couldn't break their heart. I wasn't that crazy. I was pursuing music, and that would have been too insane. I told them, yeah, I'm starting a business and all that. No big deal. They're like, oh, okay. And they were just hoping that I would make it. I'm not saying go to your parents and say that. Hey, look, let me be real. Maybe you gotta lie to your parents. Maybe you just have to. I'm gonna give you the real deal Holyfield advice. Maybe you got to. I'm not saying do it. I'm not saying you should. But if you need to break news to your parents slowly, then sometimes you just gotta lie a bit. Eventually tell them the truth. Like I did, eventually telling my parents the truth and all that. But baby steps. If you just, as soon as you get accepted into college, don't turn around to your parents and say, you know what? I want to be a surfer. Nah, man. I mean, dude, get accepted. Maybe go. Why don't you do the Travis Scott approach? Travis Scott got accepted into college. And instead of going to college, he flew to New York and tried to make it there. You know what I'm saying? What did our nephew do? If he watching this, shout out Lil Bada. He said he wanted to be a model, but he's going to school at the same time. He said he wanted to be a model. He decided to go to school. He called us up. He said, man, what do I tell my mom, our sister? He's like, what do I tell my mom about like what I'm going to do, this and that? We told him, tell her the truth. Tell the truth, of course. But don't tell her like you finna like, you know what I'm saying? Like go, like don't just straight up tell her like you finna just head to New York and become a model. Nah, player, nah, playboy.
Value your life a bit.
Start off with, I want to be a model and a student. Start off with, I want to be a model and a student. If you know eventually you're going to drop school and become a model, don't tell them that. Start with both. If you want to start with both, you know, don't start snitching on yourself and all that. You know what I'm saying? Baby steps.
To that point, I will say, because I'm a rule follower. I am a golden child. I don't disobey nothing, at least with my parents. Mm-hmm. And Xevi is right. Your parents will forgive you. Like, usually, most of the time, they'll get over it. Yeah, like, absolutely. It might seem like the worst thing in the world. Like, sometimes I question, like, did I want to be an engineer? Like, or did I just do it because, well, one, I wanted money. But two, like, to get my parents' approval. But would I have done the same thing if I knew that they would not be disappointed in me no matter what? Or if I wasn't, like, pressured into doing it for cultural obligations? Yeah. I don't know, honestly.
You're asking the real questions. I mean... you know, these are questions that I feel like everybody has to ask themselves to some extent when it comes to a career that they want to do. If they have parents that they don't want to disappoint, or, you know, they feel pressure from the parents.
Yeah, I mean, we're just being real here, okay? Listen.
Yeah.
We're just being real.
Let me reiterate again. Don't lie to your folks, though. Don't lie to your folks. You better tell them what you're trying to do with baby steps, though, you know.
I definitely don't regret going to college, though. And
hell yeah, that was like the best thing I did.
Yeah,
personally.
I think we both went to college. We just pursued different paths.
Yeah. That brings me to, like, you know what I think is huge? I feel like, what if you do social media on the side while you pursue what you do? You could do both in a sense. It might be hard, it might be tougher, but you could do both to an extent.
That's what people were saying to the influencer.
Yeah, but don't worry about her. Influencer. No, she was already in med school. She know what she want to do, and she know what she's doing. Don't worry about giving her advice. Matter of fact, unless you've been there, done that in a sense. Let's say, word to Shaquille O'Neal, he said he would never take nobody's advice unless they won a championship. Ooh. Like, do not tell me how to. Don't tell me how to play basketball unless you won a championship, basically, because that's what I'm trying to get to. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's fair.
Yeah, nah. They got to chill out with her, because I'm sure she got what she wanted to, because she already did the social media influence thing. She is in the middle of doing the doctor thing, and she realized, oh, okay, I know what I want to do full time. I know what I want to push. That's it. End of story. She'll be all right. Regardless, what were we talking about?
I feel like we gotta make that a t-shirt or something at this point. Like, it's getting embarrassing.
Yeah, but again, going to college. What did a friend of mine say? Khalifa, he said going to college helped him.
You sure you went to college?
Helped him have the ability to organize his thoughts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I can definitely agree with that. I feel like it's baby steps into the adult world, you know? So like you go straight from like hearing a bell, you got to go to class, to like no bell, you got to just make it to class on time. You know what I'm saying?
No one's telling you to do your homework.
Yeah, you get like so many like
responsibilities.
Yeah, you get more responsibilities, but like, you know, like folks is like helping you out like as you're going through it. Like you got counselors, you got this, you got that, you got boy, man, when I found out after college I had to get a gym membership. What? Like that, y'all don't just provide that like they did for school? Like y'all don't have a rec center in the real world?
Bro, we're barely trying to hold on to Social Security.
My word! Like they got little clinics and hospitals at school. You telling me I gotta pay for medical services for real? I gotta get a 401k. You know, so
you don't get a 401k.
I don't know what a 401k is.
All right, let's just.
If I'm just being very honest with
you,
let's
just cut it out.
Okay. I'm just.
A Roth IRA, perhaps.
I don't know what that is either.
All right, let's just cut this out then.
Regardless, no, we're not going to cut it out. We're going to keep it in here. All Let the people see the ignorance. Hey, if you made it this long and you taking notes and you taking advice from us, then maybe you got to the point to realize
you must be on your last leg.
Hey, word! But what did I say in the beginning of this video? I said nobody got the answers. You know what I'm saying? That's the best advice I feel like you put. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we just bumbling along this rock. I can tell you my experiences in life. Maybe they'll work for you. Menda can tell you her experiences. Maybe they'll help. You know, if they don't, then goddamn.
I think the point is do what you're best at, because I've met people who did not go to college and they're literally founders and CEOs of their own Fortune 500 companies. Yeah. But they pursued what they were best at. Like, you know,
like to become best at it in a sense. Like I say, what Tyler the Creator said something like that. He said, okay, not that specifically. You know what I mean, man? Because he got flamed a long time ago. I remember a long time ago he said, don't go to college like unless you want to do something with that degree you have. So, and he got barbecued. It was hot at him. You're telling people not to go to college. It's not. No, I agreed with him back in the day simply, and I was going to college. I was like, well, if you don't want to be an English major, or you don't want to do what do English majors do for real?
I think they major in English.
Well, I feel like they write books or something, so that's just what I'm going to say. That's just what I'm going to say.
They actually study some really interesting things.
But I'm sure they do, but I want to know like what they do for a career. Matter of fact,
I can't even tell you.
Look, girl, this is your job. Why don't you look it up for the people?
All right, I'm on.
Look up what English majors do.
One second.
So, you know, I feel like if you're doing the English job thing, but you don't want to be doing the English job thing, then you shouldn't have went to school to get the little English degree. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, it's a major where you can do a lot of things.
Okay.
Teaching, writing, public relations, marketing, journalism, law.
That's dope. I mean, it's the real world. You can do like whatever you want with your degrees and all that. You know, you can mix and match. But you know, go to school to do what you actually want to do. I had a geography teacher who was trying to convince people to become geographers. He was I got like an A in that class, so he like called me, you know. So I thought he was gonna, you know, we're gonna talk about a test or something like that, and he's like, "Can you become a geography?" I was like, but that's not what I want to do. He like, nah, you know, it's a great job. It's a great, you know, we running out of folks in the field that want to become geographers, man. You know, I think you'd be really good at that. I was like, nah, I'm good, bro. Appreciate you. You know, I ain't gonna be no geographer. But if you want to be a geographer, go to school, get your geographer person degree, and then become a geographer. You know what I'm saying? Simply put. But if that's not what you want to do and you don't know yet, then advice from me personally, I think you should just go to college anyway, you know, and just kind of like stumble about, learn to organize your thoughts a little more, and then figure out what you want to do as you go along the line. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a vehicle for curiosity. I feel like college.
Oh, that's deep. I like that.
Yeah, you can expand the people you meet, like people you will never meet before, international students, ways of thinking, philosophies, and just understanding the world better. Yeah. Now, I do believe you can do that out of college, but you have to be intentional about it.
You have to be intentional. Yeah, you can't be playing the game all day. You know what I'm saying?
College, you don't have a choice. You know, it's just what it is.
You must experience life.
Yeah, but you have to go out there. If you're not going to do the college route, go out and be curious about the world. Experience what's around you. Understand and learn things. And I think that's how you can also be best at something and put your all into your passion. Yeah.
And no pressure in finding what you want to do or what you don't want to do. I had a young man ask me, like, you know, what I wanted to do in life, and then what did I end up actually doing? Well, at first, at first I didn't even want to be a doctor. I wanted to be an architect because I saw this movie. What was that movie called? My ex-girlfriend's a superhero or something like that. Can you look that up? Boy, look that up on Google and you finna find what I'm talking about. Somebody right now is shouting at the screen or the podcast, shouting the actual correct name, but it was something like that. The dude was an architect. I was like, that sounds like a cool sounding job. Let me do that. What's it called?
I know you're not talking about My Super Ex-Girlfriend.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I was kind of close. But
wait. That was just so random.
Yeah, he was an architect in there. So I was like, at one point, I want to be an architect. Just randomly. I just walked into college and I put architect. Literally, I kid you not. Literally, the first week I walked in, I went straight to the counselor's office. I said, boy, I don't know what I'm wilding out.
That is so weird.
I want to be an architect. She said, what you want to be? I said, girl, I don't know, but switch it from architect. I ain't finna be no architect. Matter of fact, I was just trying to figure out the world, right? I went straight to the little Starbucks thing they had. I was thinking I was grown. I said, man, give me an espresso. Boy, you know what an espresso is?
It's nasty.
It's like these little shots of like ball energy. She put the little cup down of the espresso. I said, what's this? She said, you didn't know what an espresso was? I said, nah. She said, let me just get you a regular coffee. I appreciate you. Girl, I didn't even drink coffee either. I'm over there playing games, you know what I'm saying? But I'm figuring out the world. I figured out what an espresso was. I figured out I don't rock with coffee like that. I figured out I do not want to be an architect, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's what you pay your tuition for?
And that's week one, you know? You learn. But anyway, you know, but I was telling this young man, I was like, you know, you just figure it out along the way. Life is so long and life is so gorgeous. Everything's just like a teachable moment or something smart. But let me not sound too ignorant. Life is so long, you will probably stumble upon what you want to do as you do it. And whatever you feel like doing at that moment, you just plunge full force into it. And then as you go, you'll probably get another answer. You know, I've had plenty of jobs that I thought, that I thought was the goal, especially musician. I tried that for years and I said, I'm going to be a musician. This is what I'm going to do with my life, you know. But then one thing leads to another, and then we end up here making story videos because I realized it was the storytelling aspect that I loved from music, you know. Yeah. So
interesting. I mean, I think the older you get, the more you realize how ridiculous it is that society expects you to know everything at 18.
Yeah, like, that's wild.
Come on, that's ridiculous. What did they say that? Because I remember seeing somewhere the average Nobel Peace Prize recipient was 40, like in their 40s.
That's cool.
But it just reminds me of our neighbor. She just randomly ran into me during COVID. Her husband had just passed from COVID, and she was just telling me, like, you know, she met him when she was 38. That was her first love. She got married to him. And the next 2 years were the time of her life. She was dancing on tables. She experienced the world. She met her new best friends. And she said her 40s were like the best time of her life. Mm-hmm. And the fact that everyone is like rushing to feel like, oh, I have to know everything and achieve everything at 20 or 22, 24, 25. She was just like, you have so much time that you don't even realize it. And it's actually so funny. And she's telling me this, like, actually. Yeah, just in the middle of the street. She's just like, take your time, live your life, enjoy it because it's a ride and it feels fast and slow at the same time, but it's a time nonetheless. Yeah. So, girl, I don't know what the point was, but live your life. You know?
Live your life. Exactly. Don't stress too much about the job you need to get or if you're not even following your dream, let's say, because it will come, you know, it will come. You don't have to know exactly what you want to do, but whatever you feel like you want to do at the moment, that's what I suggest you plunge into. Don't see it as you're going to be wasting your time in doing what you're going to do, because who knows, well, as you quote unquote waste your time doing that job that you kind of like, somebody might walk in one day to that job and they're a rodeo clown, and then you realize I want to be a rodeo clown, so then you start being a rodeo clown, and then
well, tell us your experience being a rodeo clown.
Okay, well, you know what, first of all, I ain't gonna clap back on you for that one because that was a little slick. You slid that one in.
I'll be tickling myself, bro.
You slid that one in, so you know you got that one. I'm gonna let you make that. So whatever you want to do, whether that be social media or not, just take all the statistics out, take all the stuff you're hearing from other folks out, and ask yourself simply why you want to do it. What do you love? Like I tell my sister, look, I was telling her back in the day to continue on this social media and like be social media influencer, this and that.
He's been trying to force me for years.
Well, I was forcing it because I know her and I know her personality. I know how entertaining she is. I know how kind she is. I know how inspiring she is to folks. I'm like, dude, you can give that kind of inspiration to so many people and this and that. I feel like and how creative she is. And I can go on. Like, yeah, seriously, like I really do think
I feel
that.
uncomfortable.
No, I really do think that, and because it's the truth, and it's just a fact of the matter to me. And this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm not even saying this because she's my sister. I really do think. I mean, y'all could tell her right now in the comments. The comments have been massively kind.
That's okay.
The comments have been massively kind. I'm like, girl, you got to start your own. Do your own thing, because you have certain stats to do so. Let's say, like. Because social media is 1 in a million. This, that. No, but what if you're charismatic and entertaining? How is it 1 in a what? 1 in 100? 1 in a 50? Not all those numbers are. You take what you got, and then you go and do it. Let's say you're from India, and you want to start social media stuff.
I'm definitely waiting for the point.
I had a point, but I lost it. Just straight off the bat, you might have more Indian fans because they see somebody that can relate to them, and that goes for every ethnicity, just right out the bat. So now we're taking the 1 in a million thing out. Y'all feel what I'm saying?
Now we're at 1 in 700,000.
You know what I'm saying? Like however many. Now you've niched down a little bit. Let's say you are Indian, but you speak
Telugu.
Oh, Indian languages. That's dope.
My best friend's Indian.
Okay, there you go. Let's say you speak Telugu. Then maybe if you're saying your video in Telugu, people who understand Telugu could be like, oh, great. Somebody who speaks Telugu that's talking about this specific topic. Now I can watch this person. I'm a fan of this person. Like,
now we're at 1 in 300,000.
You see what I'm saying? So like now we're going down, and you're an expert at this specific K-pop band, and everything about this K-pop band. Now
EXO.
Now all the fans of EXO are going to watch your stuff because you know everything about them, and they want more information about them. Like, you just got to find if we're talking social media specifically, you have to find what you love in life or what you want to do with, like all those dentists, all those doctors. They're not just going to make social media of them just like going vlogging and all that. They were specifically asking me about their jobs. And when your doctor tells you something and you're listening intently, that to me is like a massive skill. My advice to all of them was, how you're telling me about this specific, thing that's quote unquote wrong with me, just pick up a camera and try your best to say it like that naturally. Because if anybody wants to learn about this specific thing that's maybe wrong with them, they'll get more information from a doctor. You see what I'm saying?
So get the statistics to work in your favor.
Get the statistics to work in your favor. There you go. That's a good way to put it. How I would put it is there's no such thing as the statistics and all that, but I like your way as well. I hope all this rambling made sense. I hope it can help some folks out.
This was a true yap session. Yeah. We were actually yapping.
Yeah, but even if, I like this because even if it helps 1 or 2 people out, feel better about life, then dang, that is good enough for me, on God. But again, like I said in the beginning of this video, in the middle of this video, we don't got the answers because nobody got the answers. But that is the best part about life, because as you stumble along, picking up advice from here, picking up advice from there, you'll find your way, man. And woman, you'll find your way.
Yeah, you pick up a puzzle piece from like every corner, every experience, every conversation, and eventually you'll be able to complete the puzzle. Yeah, and even if you do absolutely nothing in terms of career with life and all that, then who's to say you haven't lived life successfully, It's actually so true. Just do you. It's very true. Just do you, live life, do the best you can, and follow your dreams, man. That's a good point. I like that you said that, because a career isn't a parameter of success in life. Absolutely. So, that's a good reminder. Absolutely. Because what is a career? What is a job, right? They were saying, is social media a job, social media a career? Well, I don't know, but I'm doing it. We're floating in a vacuum of space. There you go. Anyway, with that bleak ending, we'll end it there. All right, y'all. We'll see you next week.